Hi everyone, welcome to Tech Talks at DevBytes. I'm your host Romesh, and today we are talking about developer communities. So, you may have heard about these groups described as mere social clubs for techies, but they are not that only. They are so much more. You can think about it like because we have all developers here. You can think about them as superhero hideouts or places where ideas, flourish, support is abundant, and innovation is what you would always think that it is within reach. So being a part of developer community is like upgrading your software, mid sprint and making things run smooth, sparking creativity and empowering to pay it forward by helping others. It's a lot more like that. So today, to understand various aspects of it, we have a very special guest, Arpan Gar, a tech innovator and a techie turned entrepreneur as the founder of Commudle, a dynamic platform where developers connect with each other and foster collaboration in the world of open source. So, um, over to you, Arpan. Please introduce yourself to our community and let's kick it off from here.
Absolutely. To begin with, super duper thanks to Romesh and Ashish and team for inviting me over and sharing this opportunity of having a discussion. Being in community, I've anyways become super duper duper talkative. So excited. In brief, if I were to share my journey, actually it started with a job wherein I was into digital marketing. A little bit different from what it is today. That is where I realized that I want to get into building things. I was building strategies for product being marketed on a platform. So what excited me more in the longer term, and the realization came in that either I want to build this product or this platform. That is where I would say my journey professionally as a techie began. I got into my first job in a healthcare startup, and that was majorly, a sole or the only developer working, sitting next to or around doctors, standing behind doctors, and looking at how they are entering prescriptions into the software that I'm building, to getting on a bike early in the morning behind sitting behind a sample collection person and reaching a patient's house to see how they would be using the app that we have built. So all these things were there while sitting on the reception, people yelling, shouting, Arpan, reports are not getting uploaded, or prescriptions are not getting submitted. While we were working on the free tier of the servers at that point of time.
Founding,
So during
founding
this
team
time, what
goals, right?
absolutely, absolutely, it was like almost everything other than taking out a syringe and drawing blood. Uh, Everything else was something that I would have done. So it was, I would say, really exciting, being at a place wherein I was building, immediately deploying, and seeing people use it around me, and getting that feedback whether it is working or not. And as the first job, I think it was something that I really enjoyed. And around this time, there was a period where we had some interns who are still very good friends, and they were talking about a community event for Google Developer Group, which was coming up. So I just overheard their conversation, and I was really interested that, what is this? Can I join in? So next weekend, I reached and I saw two college students teaching a technology called Firebase to a group of 80 people.
When was
And
this?
this group was not just students. This was somewhere in 2015, I think.
Neat.
And I was really, intrigued that this sort of an environment also exists, wherein techies are gathering, talking to each other. You can go and talk to any CTO, tech lead, developer, student, whomsoever is present, and just share what you're building, get to know from what they are doing in their careers. It became like a window of fresh air for me. So for the next 1 year, I was attending a lot of events, and also started giving some sessions. So the exciting part was preparing or learning something new, uh, which was related to web development in 1 week or 10 days, preparing it and then giving a
My
session.
goodness.
And then, you also later on, you adapt it into some production level applications that you might be building.
Were these
Uh,
events kind of
and
code
during this same
katas?
time. Mhm.
Sorry. Were kind of code katas? Network issues.
Um,
That's getting lag.
uh, no, yes, your video was lagging. Now it's fine, I think. Okay. I think Romesh is going to join back. All right, till then, probably I will continue. So this was the time when. All right, so he's joining
Yeah,
back. Let
sorry about that.
me just wait for him. Yes,
Yes, a tech
no worries.
developer event
Okay, you were
and
you were saying
developers
something.
yeah, developer event and developers running into tech issues. So sorry about
That
that.
happens. That happens.
So coming back to what I was saying earlier, Arpan, I was saying that you mentioned like preparing things in 10 days. So were you preparing things like
Mhm,
code katas or something, wherein you do live coding sessions and all?
mhm. Yes. I mean, as compared to right now, wherein the number of sessions that I've taken due to work, they have really reduced. But I had fun in doing hands-on coding sessions because then you have to be, very well prepared, so that those people who are sitting in front of you, they are also able to build the same thing that you have built.
Great, great. So yes, you were
And
continuing.
it was ton of enjoyment. So yes, during this time, I also got an opportunity when one of the organizers of GDG New Delhi was moving out of India to step in as an organizer. Since I was very active, so they reached out to me. I had never thought of becoming an organizer or managing the community till that point of time. So that is where I would say the actual journey of you know building solutions wherein you don't care about failures, because in community there is nothing like a failure. You are always learning and collaborating with each other began. And around the same time I got into coding ninjas, wherein I was teaching web development. So on one hand there was courses that we were selling, on the other hand there was free education that was being spread through communities, and where I could meet so many more people like me. Both were going parallelly. And during the same time, I was fortunate to be recognized by Google both in 2018 and 19 to attend Google I/O. Got an invite to attend there. And that is where I talked to a lot of organizers, right? There was a global community summit wherein people like me from different countries, so 300 people like me are attending just before I/O. And I hopped on from person, talking from one person to person, that what is the set of problems that you face in your communities, in your country? What is it that you do different? How do you solve for them? That gave me enough inspiration in 2018 that I was experimenting with something. The reason that of recognition, one of the reasons was that we had done some process using Google Sheets, Google Forms, Gmails, and everything, that our turn up rate has gone up from 30% to over 90%. Now, For straight 1.5 years. Like if we invited 100 people, more than 90 people used to show up. And for flagship events, it would go above 100% also because there were excited, uninvited folks also. Um, so I coded this process while coming to and from like office and home, applying between there in the metro. So there were like three metros I had to change. Morning I used to code, evening I used to deploy, test, and plan for the next day. And that is where the first version of Commudle came up. It was called as gdgnd.org at that point of time. And I would say that lied there for around 1.5 years with minor changes, wherein people asked me to be able to use it. First, I open sourced the whole code base. It was a monolithic app, everything built into Ruby on Rails. Then, it comes with a server cost when you have to deploy your own platform. So then people ask, can you build something? And it was all people driven. So I then, with the help of a very good friend, I built a logo and basically bought this domain and put it up. And in the next 1.5 years, we had 15 to 18,000 users, wherein I was not actively promoting the platform or doing anything on it. Then came COVID, wherein I found this golden opportunity, probably, or it was a calling that, let me just try this. More so, I won't be able to travel anywhere. So this crisis will also be a time wherein I could concentrate fully sitting on my desk the whole day without having any sort of means to go out of my house. And that is where I decided to make the shift. And it took some time to move out of the previous startup. And then
All in.
that is where Commutable started.
So, I mean, I'm actually, first of all, kudos to how you transformed, kudos to you, how you transformed how you actually used your time over in the metro, the hustle that you have performed. I mean, it's not really easy to do that. I mean, I have been there, done that in a certain sense, wherein
Mhm.
you are feeling that, okay, this is my commute time. I should either read something or code something.
Mhm.
And it's one thing to think about it. It's another thing to be able to sit in a busy metro and then open up your laptop and
Yeah. I mean, that excitement at that point of time to, build that, because we were already using that process using five different
right.
platforms. So I was like, okay, let me do this side project. And while I was teaching coding, I was super excited to build my own project to share
So
with
in
my
a way,
students
it's a
also.
lot. I mean, I kind of feel that this the developer ethos and the entrepreneurial mindset, they are quite similar in a way. How do you think?
Mhm.
I mean, what are your thoughts around this?
I think, yes, the journey begins with that, idea or calling that I want to build this. Now, as a developer, most of the times, the difference where it comes is that we are excited to build. But if you are a person who is getting into, building a startup, as an entrepreneur, you would see that whether it is a feasible idea or not. So you would go back and control your excitement and research around it a little bit before validating that what needs to be built. So it's not just about, building the tech.
It's about
It's
building a
about
product.
when people will actually will use it or
Right.
not.
It's about listening to the customer, essentially speaking, right? It's about building a product,
Yep, yep.
figuring out what's the need of the market. And that's actually a good need as
Hmm.
well. I mean, so while I was in US, I used to be a part of variety
Hmm.
of developer meetups and hackathons.
Hmm.
And when I moved to India in 2014, I didn't find that many events happening in and around that area. So I did
Hmm. Hmm.
see that it was required, but I mean, I was at that point of time already engaged in another idea of mine, which is how we have reached over
Hmm.
here today. So, but I mean, this has been a burning problem for Indian development ecosystem, and I'm pretty sure it's the same everywhere around the world. Wherever the developer communities are budding up, and nowadays development has become a global phenomenon. But what I kind of also
Hmm.
figured from your discussion is like you also had a zeal, a motivation, and innate desire to innovate, right? Uh, how would you
Um, I probably was thinking on solving my own problem, to be honest, initially.
exactly? And that is how you, I mean, I guess that is what motivated you in a certain sense to keep pursuing this.
Yep.
So, what will you?
We had initially been using this process for around, 1.5 years. And then I thought, let me just code it. I'm not being a good developer if there is that approach in Ruby on Rails, which we call dry, do not repeat yourself, right? So it was becoming that we were repeating everything again, creating those forms, sheets, rolling out
Or
registrations,
every
and other things. So I was like, why not put it into a tool wherein at least we'll have the whole set of community having to know that this is the identity of GDG New Delhi. This is the place where we can find them. And we can also see, with whom all we can engage in the community.
So, quick question, which also Aditya has asked, and something
Hmm.
which you also mentioned, kind of related. Basically, you said that you, first of all, when you built your platform, you
Hmm.
open sourced it at a very early
Hmm.
stage to get user
Yep.
feedback, to understand various things from developers and companies.
Hmm.
So, a great move, and this is how
Hmm.
products are built. But it would have also raised concerns around the security vulnerabilities,
Hmm.
licensing, because you might have used some gems which are probably which probably require you to pay if used for
Hmm.
commercial purposes,
Hmm.
right? So, I mean,
Yes.
how do you think these things can be mitigated, or how should communities adopt to product to protect their code and contributors,
Um,
or should it really be a concern in a certain sense, because you are in a niche space, right? You are
mhm,
helping developers by using developer work, so everybody will wave off the right for you, right?
mhm.
But how would you go about it? I mean, more importantly, security vulnerabilities, and then, of course, licensing and all.
Okay. Um, yes, I've had that thought for like a number of times. Still, even today, all our front-end code is open sourced. But we closed the backend code when we moved from a monolith to dividing the front end and backend code. So the first question comes is, if I look at open sources, proprietary idea, and is this my intellectual property? The moment you open source the code, you are giving it to everyone to access. So there are certain checks that as a developer we should be keeping in terms of security, which is like not revealing any. Right. That is something that we do, no matter how basic it is, but that happens the moment you release, you open up a piece of code, and there is some past Git commit or some branch wherein you just for testing out use that API key. Now there are tools to remove that from the history of Git as well. So I also made that mistake. I corrected it. I was again having a good circle of people who were testing it out, and they reported that Arpan, you probably left your password over here for this particular account.
Oh,
And then the second part is, as you said, licensing. Well, again, you've open sourced the code. Anyone can download the code base, run their own server, and run it under whatsoever domain name. What does licensing file help in doing is that makes them at least give you an attribute or credits that they are using your code base. Again, in most of the cases, it is moral and mutual. But there would be cases where people might not be giving you credits. If you are able to find them, then there are legal ways also to go about it. But again, how far would you
But
be
who has
willing
the
to go
time
on
and
that,
patience?
right? Um,
Right, right, right.
and other than that, I would say when you mentioned gems and libraries, I think mostly if a library is paid, for example, we are using a text editor library wherein there are multiple versions of it. One is self-hosted. Second is self-hosted, as in you run a particular server of their library and then you call that in your front-end code base. Second is you bundle that library in your front-end code base itself. These both of them are free. But in case you want to use their cloud, then obviously they'll pass on an API key to you, which will be linked to your domain. So I don't think that is that much of an issue. It is probably the uh, headache of the library builder to assure that if they have a paid plan, they are able to make the most out of it.
Cool, cool. So, I mean, in a certain sense, it kind of creates, I mean, a question around what would you be or how should you be contributing to open source,
Mhm.
right? Or what all things should you keep in mind as best practices? And in a certain sense, even for mm, like uh, developers at the early stage of their
Mhm.
career, how should they go about contributing to open source? The age-old question.
Okay.
What are your thoughts around it? Yeah.
Yes, I guess I've been with some really good contributors to open source, mostly around Google Summer of Code, but have a decent idea on that. So if I divide it into steps, the first step is being able to find the right set of projects and never select just one project. How to find also, I will share an idea, but select at least a couple of projects, because what happens is when you set up the code base on your system, you might be able to, you might not be able to due to technical limitations also. For example, if you try to set up a huge browser which is open sourced, that code base on your system, which maybe has 8 gigs of RAM or 12 gigs of RAM, it might not work. You might need a heavier system. So check out the technical specifications and choose a couple of libraries. Now, how to choose? One is the assumption is that you have a know-how of a particular set of development related languages or frameworks. Let us say you have worked on the basics of Flask, which is a toned down version or which expands into Django, I would say. So Flask is easiest to learn to begin with, and or maybe Node.js. Any Express framework could be used. So if you have that basic knowledge, then you can choose that, okay, these are the set of libraries or open source projects which are based on this. Don't think that they use 10 other libraries, so I won't be able to do it. If it is based on Express, you'll figure it out. If it is based on Flask, you know Flask, you'll figure it out. Then comes the next step. How do I find those? There are tons of open source programs running, not just GSOC. Although GSOC has also right now opened up for students, professionals, anyone can go and apply. Earlier, it was limited to college students only. So you can go to a website like GSOC. There is a program by Linux as well, which again is a open source summer program which pays you, but otherwise you can also go and contribute even outside of the program. So once you figure out, you go to, if I pick one path, I go to GSOC website, maybe the 2024 one. I check the list of projects. I filter them by the technology that I know. I will find that list. Go and browse the README. Maybe takes 3 hours of my time during a day, just figuring out the right project, and then choose two or three, one or two to set up on my system. Then comes the part of the journey, which is the most difficult part, is setting up the project on your system. This is the threshold that you need to cross. Most people give it up here. I am not able to set up. This is not my cup of tea. So it might take 7 days, it might take 15 days, or it might just take 7 hours or even lesser time, with
Right,
so
right.
much advancements. Once you have set it up, then the community will guide you. You have to choose from the list of issues on GitHub or whichever repository platform is being used, maybe GitLab. And in that issue will be different tags. There will be different steps on how to, if it is a beginner issue, you should begin with a beginner issue. It will list down the steps also on how to solve a lot of times if it is a well-maintained repository. And I'm sure if it is listed on GSOC website, it should be a well-maintained one. And from there, the community will absorb you. They will guide you. If you make a mistake, there will be folks who are maintainers helping out to maintain this, and they will guide you what you're doing wrong. They won't take the issue away from you if you're solving it logically. They will make you solve it. They
Right.
will help you merge your PR. And the eureka moment arrives when that gets merged and it goes live on the server. This was the code that
Right.
I wrote, right? This was the HTML button that I created. Now 100 people are clicking on it
Uh,
every day.
I mean, at the first time I was able to do that,
Mhm,
although within the context of a company, the company I was working with, I was excited that, okay, my
mhm.
system is now live. People can
Yeah.
go and click it. Uh, I mean, that's what in a way drives people, right? The
Mhm,
sense of running something,
mhm.
and then the sense of accomplishment that comes with it, that okay, my system is live, you can do this, and people can come and watch or
Yeah, yeah.
use. So coming back to this, I mean, it also opens up an important channel for us, right? How are, like, while you are collaborating to open source, right?
Mhm,
um, Nowadays, with AI in picture, the mix, I'm
mhm.
pretty sure the collaboration part must have become a lot more simpler. Of course, the threshold is still there,
Yeah,
setting
yeah.
it up and all, right? So, like, do you have any insights on how the communities are talking about it? Uh, like your insights from
Mhm,
Commudle, from various events that you organize, how communities
mhm.
are talking about incorporating AI driven open source development.
Um, so, from the part that I have seen till now, it's been more on the lines of first, it is that stage wherein people are still exploring that, hey, AI is capable of this also. Right. There are models which are available, which as an individual, I might not be able to, create my own model from scratch, which is probably more than 10, 15 years of research done by those big companies. Now they have those mathematics and code in place. Then comes the second part, which is training those models, which I, as an individual, can do up till a certain capacity. Then there are big companies who have trained for specific use cases, big companies and startups both. Now, where communities right now, and this is again just limited to the interactions that I have had, where communities are playing a role is making use of the tools that are being built by these basically organizations. If there is a new agent available, or if there is an agent builder available, or for example, if we look at Google Cloud or AWS, there are tools wherein you can train your models for a certain things using data set. For example, if I want a model to answer questions on diabetes, I will give them a data set and limit or scope their answers to that. So what communities are doing is building thousands of solutions daily using all these tools that are available, and it gets shared across groups much faster. So if I build something, even LinkedIn is a community in that sense.
Right, right.
Now, how AI is being specifically used by communities. One very interesting part was that figuring out whether this person will actually attend my event or not. Right? They filled this form. 100 more people have filled this form. One, should I invite them? Second, will they actually attend or not based on the past attendance data that I have and the forms filled data? Can AI figure that out? Now, this might sound very stupid, but I have had a couple of folks who are actually figuring it out and are able to do it. Then there are different platforms like Hugging Face, who are again giving you more tools to use. Communities are helping individuals to adapt it at a speed. For example, last weekend, we had our event wherein one of the speakers he taught how to make an AI agent, a very basic AI agent, without knowing any tech. So imagine 80 people sitting in front of him. Even if 50 out of them or 30 out of them tried it, now they are kind of users of that particular LLM, maybe Perplexity or ChatGPT or whichever platform that he was using. So this is the expansive effect that communities are giving. But again, I'm not sure I've been able to answer very specifically. Gone a little bit too long.
No, but there are a lot of insights that are coming out of it. So
Mhm,
that's great. So Nanier is saying, like, is asking a little experiential question from you that
mhm,
engaging in community is better to start off with, but
mhm.
how, like, would you be able to share some of the best communities that you have come across and why you think they were the best or the worst or whatever? Let's not go to worst, but some of the best one probably.
Okay, so I might, I've been more in the Google ecosystem, which has been thriving. I've seen that whole journey. So would definitely vouch for a GDG community, which might be around people, or a TFUG community, Google Cloud community, which is going on. But from Commudle's side, when I look at it, there are over 500 communities which are on the platform, and it is not specific to a brand. For example, if you know about Meerut, which is very close to Delhi, it started with one community called MLSA, Microsoft Learned Student Ambassador, in their one of their colleges, MIET, and after that there have been more than 20 communities which have popped up on Commudle, and almost all of them are very active. So I cannot say that which one is the best community, right? All of them have probably the same target audience, but are using different themes to spread that knowledge, bring in more people, and them. Now, if I look at in Delhi NCR, there are sprawling communities in terms of web development. There are Android communities, there are AWS communities, there are Google Cloud communities. It is very difficult to point out one that, this is the best community. But yes, I would say that. Um, uh,
So
mhm,
let me
mhm,
rephrase this question.
uh-huh.
Allow
Okay,
me to
okay.
do a little. Suppose I am a um, I'm a person, like, I'm a fresh
Mhm,
graduate. I have recently started
mhm,
development. I recently started looking at uh, coding as a career. I'm excited, but I'm not finding the right
mhm,
peers like me, right? So I go to some platforms, say Commudle or Meetup or whatever it is, or Facebook groups, whatever. And then I try to find, okay, there are 10 different
mhm.
communities. Some have some event, there are clashes. Where should I go? What should I do?
Okay.
So, from a user's perspective, from that early fresher user's
Mhm.
perspective, how should they be evaluating a community? Of course, one parameter is there. What are you interested in? That is, I
Yes,
believe, one of the biggest parameter.
absolutely.
Uh, what do you want to do? But then there is also that factor of where should I put my time?
Mhm.
Where should I go to? Which community should I go to? Or should it, or is that a futile question?
Um, okay, I'll give you an example. In one of the events that I was the way their speaker or the leader said that what are your expectations from this event? It was a free event with some of the top techies coming in in their domains, and people had different expectations, right from food to good sessions to knowledge and everything. And he said, please leave your expectations outside the door, right? This is a community. Now, neither have you paid for this event, nor have we charged you. We have gotten here together to make this interaction successful. Now, whatsoever someone is speaking or giving a talk or doing a hands-on session, it is your job to participate and to try out what they're doing. And then whether you find it interesting or not is a different thing. But again, you have taken out the whole time to sit here the whole day. Why don't make use of it? And vice versa, that person has also taken out probably a week to prepare that particular hands-on coding session or maybe that talk to deliver it to you. What happens is when I'm attending an event, if I throw out the expectation, then I'll find people to talk to in terms of networking. Even if the sessions were, let us say I'm a web developer, all the sessions were on mobile application development, which I probably didn't understand much. They were showing code on the slides and everything. But then again, there would be more people like me who might be working at different tech organizations, or there would be insights that I could still get from that particular Android developer speaker or people sitting in the audience. So there are different ways you can utilize a particular event or any engagement. Out of everything, I would place networking and knowledge equivalent, not anything above or below. Sometimes network, stands above knowledge when you can find the right person to get the solution. But yes, when we say that, which is the right event to attend, I think you've already answered it correctly, that what interests you. And sometimes maybe take out time to attend the technologies which are new to you, because it opens up your mind that okay, rest of the world is doing this.
Right, right. I mean, I can also share a personal anecdote and probably kind of
Yes.
add a little bit uh, more context here. Uh,
Mhm,
Basically, once I went to attend some, there was this new technology in that in early 2010 to 15. A
mhm,
lot of people were trying on making the web animations run smoother, run faster,
mhm,
run
mhm,
better. So I figured out this some new framework is coming called Famo.us.
mhm,
Now
mhm,
it's famous, whatever. Um, I thought I'll go there. I attended the workshop. Most of it went above my head. I was a
yeah,
fresh
yeah.
grad,
That was
and they
exactly
were
my first
talking.
event.
And I mean, I found a lot of things they are talking about is are some things that I thought I'll study over the time,
Mhm,
and they were
mhm,
already using it to the next level.
mhm,
I thought, great, what did I learn? And turned out they were talking a lot about how event-driven architecture is working in JavaScript.
mhm,
And later on, I
mhm,
realized as after attending that conversation, those things, I quickly started grasping about event-driven
mhm,
uh,
mhm,
uh, architectures. So, in a way, the learning is never about what you are going there for. If you open up your mind, you would probably grasp a lot more or a lot of core principles, and then you can, uh, you know, bring that knowledge from your own experience
yeah.
and merge that knowledge to maybe use or learn things better faster.
Mhm. So
That's
probably I should also put up one question to you over here. Now, probably you've been in tech for over 10 years now, at least. And like you would have attended, as you mentioned, a number of conferences, events where you had talks which were relevant to you, and you had talks which were totally new or going above your head, or maybe not so interesting for you.
Right.
So, like, has there been any time that you were facing a particular technology problem that you had to fix? Not critical, but something that you wanted to fix. And you found maybe an expert for that technology, or maybe a solution from that by just finding the right person in the network or the community event.
Right. So actually, I I did indeed find so.
And you can say no if you didn't.
No. So I did indeed actually. So when
Mhm,
I was in Vegas, I used to attend a lot of
mhm,
conversations over there,
mhm,
a lot of meetups, and I was working on another startup of mine.
mhm,
Uh, and we were trying to understand certain problems with respect to how to structure our application because we used to serve essentially long infographics
mhm,
over, you can say, 2G to edge network, or
mhm,
3G in spotty places, or otherwise edge network. So we used to find a lot of issues with respect to our users, how to go about it.
mhm,
uh, and then because I started working on startups and things pretty early on in my career while I was doing my master's, so I would go to all these meetups, and therein one of the organizers, I was discussing with that person, he told me, okay, maybe you can do it like this or do it like that, wherein he essentially told me that, all right, you have long images, break
mhm,
them
mhm,
into pieces.
mhm.
And that was like, on the face of it, it is a very simple idea, but for a
Yeah, yeah.
young developer, it was like epiphany, eureka moment. And I was like, man, going to these events actually helps a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean,
I mean,
that's the
same
power of
experience.
networking.
Yeah, yeah.
Thanks. That's the
And
power
you
of
build a connect
networking.
with those people also. Maybe on LinkedIn or whichever platform, you can later on reference and reach out. So, I mean, not taking much time, but I'll probably in a minute share another example. And this is related to open source. So, this was the time I was at the healthcare startup, and Razorpay had just released their Ruby on Rails gem.
Oh,
And
nice.
I had integrated it into my platform for online payments, and I was facing a problem in that. So I reached out to their support that this particular part is not working in the gem. Probably it needs correction. That was fixed in another 3 hours. My issue was responded to by their head of engineering or head of technology, and then I got connected only on GitHub, I would say. 2 or 3 years later, I remembered that, I didn't thank that person. So I went back and put a thank you on that issue. And then I received a reaction back. So whenever I get to meet that person, I will have that point of reference. Okay, we know each other. Not really, but we do. So,
Exactly. I mean, that's what building connect is all about. To be able
mhm,
to have that ear,
mhm.
that's what developer communities are about. That we can help each other in a.
And it was an open source library, basically.
Oh, nice. So
And
yeah, I mean,
one more question that people might be coming up with is, can you get a job using open source? So what are your thoughts on that?
yes. I I kind of believe yes, you do, and it's not, in my opinion, the journey is not linear. Ki
Mhm.
you are contributing to 5 repositories, you have say 50% chance of getting landing the next job. It's not
Yes.
really linear. But it essentially starts showing up in your work automatically. So the next job you
Mhm.
will go to, even if they have not seen your GitHub profile, they would be able to see from the work or the interaction that you're doing
Mhm.
that. you know your stuff.
Yep, yep,
Is how I look at it. So I believe if you are you are not contributing to open source, you can still have that kind of an impact.
yeah.
But yes, contributing to open source is an easier and trainable way, uh, or a measurable way
Your free
to
window
have that
to
impact when
restructure
you're
enterprise products.
so true, so true. I mean, you don't even know that your code push has impacted how many
Yep.
products.
I mean, to add to that, I hired my first engineer through open source contribution to Commudle when it was open sourced.
Ah, nice, dude. That's perfect. I mean, when you have started with an open source theme at the very early on in your journey,
Yep.
that's the perfect way to garner the right talent, I guess. And that's a note to everybody who is watching, who are in their early phases of their career, or even in intermediate stages. I mean, go out, look for some open source
Mhm.
contribution. It will help you eventually, one way or the other. It's like you put good out into the world, the good will come back to you. That's the circle of life, right?
Yeah, and there's a ton of opportunities that open source does bring, alongside. I have like people I know have been given the so one of my friend, or you can say distant friend, was doing an open source contribution with Mozilla. His laptop worn out. They sent him the best available Mac by courier. Like they bought him. Second, there are like a number of examples that I can share wherein people got tickets to international conferences, invites, all expense paid trips to international conferences through open source contributions. And again, jobs, there are plethora. I mean, the company who has open sourced their repository, and this is the era wherein a lot of companies are popping up, showing up, and growing fast, where repositories are completely open source. Such an easy way to get a job there. Start solving their issues.
Totally. Totally agreed. Totally agreed. So, when we are talking about this piece, I mean, uh, we have skipped one
Mhm.
question, so probably will answer this as
Sure.
well. Like, do you think any emerging technologies are disrupting the developer ecosystem next? What emerging technologies
Mm,
do you think?
I
Something that is probably coming up in the
I
communities.
would I would say disruption might not be the word that I would use. I would say speeding up the skill sharing or the learning journey. Again, AI is definitely the one that is to look up to. It is not disrupting, but it is boosting the capability of communities. If you were able to prepare, let us say, a hands-on session in 10 days earlier, maybe 10 hours. Right, so that is the difference. If you had to prepare slides for a particular topic, you used to do a lot of research. Probably that research assistant is now AI, so that helps the speakers. And again, if you're participating in a
Yeah,
community hackathon, not only can AI write the project code for you, but can help you in debugging it or improving the UI, and even help you making your final demo presentations.
I mean, and all these AI powered
Mhm.
coding, the new term to this has been coined as vibe coding. I don't know
Yeah,
if
yeah, yeah.
you
Today,
have heard of
two of my teammates, like, so I am also working with Exa Protocol, a Web3 company, and they white coded a complete meme generator in just 1 hour.
Neat. So I mean, the world is developing really fast, and the AI-powered code editors are really
Mhm.
disrupting how we are coding. And I mean, so the pace has really ramped
Mhm.
up. So, what all things do you think one can do these days with respect to communities or on an individual level? How do you think? I mean, if you ask me, I would always say that you start creating more communities around
Mhm.
yourself. If anybody comes up and asks, which Abhishek is also asking, that how can these communities stay agile and adapt technological changes?
Okay. So I think if I look at a community, it is the best part is that there are people who are also constantly upgrading themselves. And then there are people who also constantly want to upgrade themselves, but might not be able to find the right resources. Now there is a very simple word called feedback. So a lot of times when we run out of ideas, we shoot out an email or do a post to all our members and ask them what is the next set of technologies or sessions, things that you want us to do our next event on. And that's it. It solves for that. That is how the community becomes agile and keeps itself updated. A lot of times, because see, we are four organizers of a community working in a particular domain. And a number of times we might also miss out on what latest is going on, being absorbed in our work and then coming out and getting to know, okay, this was something that was launched probably 3 months ago. We didn't get to know about it. It's completely human to miss out. But how to get to know? It's not just about organizing the event and getting the latest content out there. It is also asking people, what do you think should be the next piece of content that you want, or technology that you want to learn? And that's it. I think it also becomes a two-way communication channel.
Yeah, I mean that way it creates uh, that continuous feedback will
For every
create the
event, we
right.
ask people in a feedback form, what should be the next event? So, yes.
So, I mean, what is the one piece of advice that you would give to budding developers, who are or are thinking about essentially making a mark in open source communities, in open source things, or maybe entrepreneurial ventures?
Tough question. I'm still myself.
There will be a
I
book
would consider
given to those
myself to
guys, I guess.
be a beginner still at that, still learning. But more than an advice, suggestion would be to, um, you know, all around you, there are tens of technologies which people are learning and sharing about. Uh, and if you pick and start learning one, that FOMO of, okay, my friends have learned ML, AI, web development, Android development, A, B, and C already. And I am still beginning with HTML and CSS. So basically, if I relate it to open source, people might be learning 10 technologies at a superficial or a very, initial level, versus you having a bread and butter kind of expertise in one technology. So bread and butter means this is the technology that you can fall back on tomorrow if you are not able to succeed in another technology. So, or another domain of job or work. Don't think about that job will be there or not, but build a strategy and follow it. You will reach there, you will figure it out. If I could, and there might be a ton of things to be shared, but if I could, it's a lot easier 10 years from where I graduated today to reach there. And don't listen to market may there are no jobs, or market is going down, there are no opportunities. I think Romesh's laugh already tells you that it's a myth. There are
It's a
always
myth.
jobs available.
Yeah, you
You
have to
should be able to.
be, yeah, you have to just skill up yourself, or
Yep.
keep an ear
Hmm.
out of
Hmm.
what's going on, and just be true to the fundamentals.
Yep. And
Jobs will
if you
come.
are self-motivated, then open source is definitely a very good path for you.
Very good place to. Yeah, I guess it's
Yeah.
so true. So to sum it up, I mean, how do you envision the future of developer communities, basis of your learning at Commudle?
Okay. There is this term that I've been seeing a lot over the past 8 to 10 months. Um, and since developer communities, the core concept started with being able to share knowledge, but also translates into marketing a particular product. So the term is that the line that I read a lot is software applications are no longer directly sold, they are adopted. Now, that is where developer communities are becoming a more and more core part of the organization, becoming a separate domain instead of just being under marketing. They are getting a whole new team or recognition for themselves. They hold importance in terms of getting the product feedback, right product feedback from actual users. Again, pushing any new updates to those people, getting, fast early adopters. And finally, if you are into open source, I think the developer community is your actual developer. So it's also contributing to growth of the product overall in itself.
Great, great. So, thanks a lot for this, Arpan. Thanks a lot for taking out time. And, thanks for joining in. It was really a pleasure listening to you. And I'm pretty sure that audience would have loved your insights around everything developer centric. Uh, thanks for coming in and helping out your community.
I'm super duper grateful for this opportunity, and I hope I was able to make sense. At some point, I think I went here and there, but I hope I was able to make some useful points out there. And again, what you and team are doing are is something, again, building a very solid community, bringing people together, getting words of wisdom and knowledge out there. So more power to you, and kudos on the
Thanks.
amazing job.
Thanks.
Once again, grateful.
Thanks a lot, Arpan. Thanks for your kind words. Folks and friends, thanks for joining in. And if you are seeing it after the telecast, again, thanks for taking out time. We at DevBytes are happy to be a part of your development journey, your professional journey. And see you till next week.
Follow them, follow them, follow them.
Thank you, guys. Please
Yes,
follow us on.
yes.
Like, share, subscribe.